Like most survival games, you start by collecting wood and picking up rocks. Make your first stone axe and head out on your adventure in the Valheim world. Make a crafting hammer to begin constructing your first base. I recommend placing a bed so that you can sleep off the night in the early game. I would do this because the mobs become harder and greater in number, and as you become more familiar with the block and roll mechanics, you may find that nighttime can provide a lot of needed resources like Grey Dwarf Eyes. These can be used to make portals later on. You're going to find boars in the meadows where you start. Try not to kill them if you can. A campfire can de-aggro a wild boar if needed. Build a simple box pen and lure the boar into it by letting it chase you and then trap it. You can use mushrooms that are found in the meadows to tame the boar. If a boar is still aggressive, he or she will not be tameable. Once you have tamed a couple of boars, you can start the breeding process. Why do this, you ask? What great benefit will you gain? Besides an endless supply of boar meat, you will also be granted with a massive supply of scrap. Scrap is needed to craft numerous weapons and gear, and is even needed in the Mistlands. By sneaking up on deer, one can usually kill it with just a couple of swings of a torch, or one-shot them with an upgraded axe. You will need to take out many deer, not only to craft leather armor and a bow, but also to collect their trophies to summon Eithger, the first boss. How do you upgrade the axe? Well, at the workbench is a tab called Upgrades. You must upgrade the workbench first. You're going to need a chopping block created from collecting flint, or a tanning rack using all that scrap you're collecting from your wonderful boar farm. The rested buff can be obtained when near a lit campfire. This will give you a much needed stamina and health regen buff. You're going to need to search deserted houses for a beehive. You can either use a workbench to break the building, or just break the beehive and collect the queen. With the queen in hand, you're now going to be able to place down a domesticated beehive and start collecting honey. Honey is one of the best early game stamina foods and will be needed to make recipes like honey glazed chicken. Pick up everything that you can. When you pick up items for the first time, you will receive a crafting recipe related to that item. When cooking food at a campfire, try not to let it burn. Unless you want charcoal. Charcoal will unlock crafting recipes, so maybe not a bad idea to burn a couple of pieces of meat. Speaking of flint, the flint spear is very underrated. In the early game, by throwing the spear, you can deal range damage to mobs and use it to collect feathers. The feathers are needed for arrows. Since all you have to do is retrieve your spear at the cost of no ammo, and you will need to repair it from time to time, but this weapon is an amazing tool. It allows you to fend off yourself from numerous mobs, chuck and kill ranged targets, and is just all around an amazing weapon. If you're enjoying this content, then leave a like on the video, but if you're feeling frisky, hit that subscribe button for me. As you prepare to take on the first boss, you're going to need to craft a few things, one of them being the crude bow. You're going to need this to be able to do range damage to the boss. I also recommend upgrading the crude bow. By upgrading the crude bow, you can deal significantly more damage. You're going to need leather scraps and deer hide and wood to upgrade the crude bow. You can upgrade it to level 3 if you've placed down a chopping block and a tanning rack. You're also going to need arrows. Using the feathers you collected earlier, resin and wood, you can create fire arrows. I recommend at least 2 stacks of fire arrows to fight the first boss. By going to the mystical altar and sacrificing 3 deer heads onto it, you can summon the first boss, Eithger. Eithger does 2 primary attacks. He's going to do a lightning attack that goes mostly in a straight line wherever he's looking, just like that. And he also does an AoE stomp attack if you're too close to him. This can do significant damage, and I recommend avoiding it. I'm going to use the fire arrows to light him on fire and slowly watch him just tick away in health. Make sure you maintain your food buffs or your rested buff as well. I see here I forgot mine and it's down to 50 seconds. But by lighting the boss on fire over and over, I'm going to be able to kill him with ease. I'm not going to torture you guys with this, and I'm going to go ahead and speed it up for you, so here's a little montage. Once you have defeated Aithgar, he's going to drop a few items that you're going to need. One of them being his trophy head, and another one is going to be needed to craft the pickaxe. The pickaxe is an amazing item. He dropped hard antlers for the pickaxe, and his trophy head, which will be needed to gain a buff. But first I'm going to go craft that pickaxe because it is amazing and can be used to do a lot of things like digging up the dirt and breaking rocks, and is going to be needed to get copper. By hanging his head onto the trophy rack here, you can gain a stamina and jump buff. So you get minus 60% jump stamina usage and minus 60% run stamina usage. Your ability to run and jump is greatly increased.